Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's section of Breaking Down the Game. I'm your host, Andre Greater Pengchua, and this week we have a ZVP coming your way. It's going to be with Red and Night End. Let's go ahead and take a look at what happened. All right, so we can already see that Red has a ton of units, and basically what I want to do is give you what happened at the end and how Red actually got to this position. We can just see a massive amount of units bearing down on his opponent. Look at how much stuff is all around this place. Of course, Red has so many units. He has 4 expansions. Let's find out how he got there. All right, so we start out with a pretty normal game. Red has gone for the very, very standard fast expansion. Let's go and pull out that production tab. We can see no metabolic boost just yet started, but for all intents and purposes, let's just call this very standard. We have the regular fast expansion from a Zerg, and of course, Protoss, because it is Belshir Beach, it's a little bit harder to get this expansion. We will see them going up to 3 gateways. He's going to put them up right here. There they go right now, and he's obviously going to put them up. Now, the big thing we want to get across here is how is Ret getting such a massive advantage? And I'll just let you know that no engagement really happened in this beginning game. We already have 25 harvests to 23. It's going to slowly build like that. The big thing I want to get across is going to be the power of scouting. We can see very, very critical units all around the base of Night End. Night End is just going to go ahead and try to get up to this 3 gate. But all this time, Red is keeping tabs on when this expansion is going down. That's the biggest thing. That will give him indication of what's going on. For now, look at this. Red isn't missing a single inject, every single one of his hatcheries. And this is the big thing, a fast third. Now, this is a little bit risky, but it's so intelligent coming in from Red. Red knows that this is a map that's not too great for early game pressure. It's just not too good because there's so much distance you have to traverse, and by that time, Zerg will be able to find it. So he's saying to himself, okay, well, early game pressure is kind of out of the question. I'm going to assume that he is expanding, and based on not only that, he saw that sentries are out in the beginning. Those are all things that you're saving up minerals. Now, I paused it right here because it's very important. What Ret is doing is slowly bringing in his Overlord, catching if there's a probe and a Nexus going to be going down here. And additionally, the Zerglings, they're just milling around, making sure, checking the army composition if they can, and seeing when that Nexus drops exactly. Ret did a very clever thing. This might seem a little bit all in, but think about it this way. All Ret is doing here is an opportunity cost action. And what he's basically saying is, okay, I'm willing to put down this hatchery. There's 2 possible things that can happen. You expand or you attack. And it's kind of hard for Night End to really attack in this position because he doesn't know that this third is going down. But still, it's either you defend or you attack. You expand, you attack. Those are the 2 possible options. The opportunity cost comes at the fact that he could have been using this 300 minerals, or 350 if you think about the drone, to be getting more drones. That's exactly 7 drones at that period in time. Or it's an investment right now. So if he gets this up, he's going to have a lot more larva, and he's going to have the ability of obviously mine from this entire expansion. So what he's essentially been doing is saying, okay, I'm going to give up this, invest, and hopefully I can take this expansion, assuming my opponent is going to take his or her own. Now, if there is aggression, he cancels that. He gets back the money, throws down some spine crawlers. He's absolutely safe. He's not that far behind. If it doesn't, however, he's going to yield huge, huge dividends from this hatchery, not only the larva, the additional minerals. So this is a great, great risk. What Red has basically said was, what's the probability of my opponent going ahead, taking expansion versus my opponent going ahead and pressuring up? And because the probability to pressure up is very, very low, given what type of player Night End is, given that he is sort of a passive style player, this was a great, great risk that Ret did, and you're going to see it really pays so much off. We can see Ret has gone ahead, seen the two gateways right here, and he's going to just keep his Overlord around here if possible. What he wants to make sure is this Nexus completes. So you're going to see, hopefully, this Overlord just pushing over here, but for the most part, Ret is taking a very decisive advantage right here. So we do have the first Phoenix in here, and what does Rhett do? As soon as that happens, he says, oh, I have to be careful because there could be early game aggression. Also, this Nexus can be killed. So this is a very correct response, going up to 10 roaches. Let's look at the income tab, though. 53 to 31. There was not a single other unit other than those initial 2 Zerglings. Let's see. Unit tab, 2 Zerglings, 53 drones, 2 queens. That is it. We can see that Rhett has just really, really pushed using every single larva inject. Look at this. 0. Well, just very, very close to a very, very low amount of energy. Of course, he's using this second queen for an eventual larva spread, or excuse me, creep tumor spread. But what I want to get across is the importance of getting these drones out early and then getting your units. Of course, that's a very, very basic concept, but know that Rhett did this all very, very safely. Everything was safe about this because he was able to get those scouts in there, and as I said, he was able to make those risks, the calculated risks, that really, really pay off. This macro abusive style coming in from Rhett, just taking that risk, putting that down, being able to cancel it if he needs to. So now roaches are going to form up. Night End is going to see this with this one Phoenix, and that's going to force him to back up because, of course, he doesn't have the means to keep pressuring on. So they're going to be moving forward. And Rhett, understanding the entire situation, will really, really benefit off of this. So he does do a huge push of units, and now it looks like almost he's going to attack his opponent. Night End is forced to disengage, and what happens here? This is the big question. So the follow-up, of course, Night End getting his own probes. Look at this, a lair being started, and we're going to see a lot of drones coming out from. So again, what Rhett is doing is saying, okay, I know my opponent just saw exactly what I was doing. This is the perfect time for me to drone up because my opponent needs to defend against something like a Zergling Roach all in at this point in time. They are kind of weak. Of course, the Protoss is kind of weak at this point in time, right before they can get that AoE up, whether it be the robotics facility, whether it be the mass gateway style. You need a little bit of time. Still, he's going to take advantage of it. Look at the 9-minute, 30-second time. That's normally the time where you can drone up. Income tab is showing 64 to 41 drones. We're going to see that skyrocket in a little bit. I'm going to just go X2 for a little. 68, 67, 69. It's going to keep going up like this. And this is what I really want to get across. 71, 43. Look at that income difference. That's almost a 100% difference, just about, let's just say 70, 80% difference. So if I was Night End, my opponent has 70 to 80% more income than me. That means they can produce almost double of what I can. So again, we can already see that the larva injects are so important to Zerg. But on top of that, the way that Rhett has been able to do this, he's been able to take very, very calculated risks based on his opponent. Okay, so let's break this down again. I'm going to go ahead and just play this. Let's go ahead and see what happens. So, of course, Rhett is going to just take this victory or take this advantage and bring it all the way to the end. I don't want to go too much into this because this is all really a formality. He already has a huge advantage. What he does with the advantage, he can really do anything because he's so far ahead. But let's go ahead and think of the assumptions of what happened in this beginning game. The first assumption that he makes is Night End is a very, very passive player. He's a very passive player, so going towards that macro style, Rhett knows that there isn't really going to be any early game aggression. Because of that, he's able to say, I can grab a very, very early third base. And if need be, I can cancel it and reformulate some sort of Spinecrawler push or Spinecrawler defense, get my Zerglings up. I'm absolutely okay because of this map. Belshir Beach is a very big map. So after he does that, he does gain a huge advantage. And on top of that, he's able to get tons of drones that way. And with that advantage, he can sort of make a round of units, which are Zerglings, which are Roaches, and really scare Night End away. And that's another big thing, because he does this huge push of units, and then drones after that. And that drone is so important, because a lot of times, players just keep making units, whereas you shouldn't be doing that. It's another opportunity to say, okay, I know Night End is a passive player, he will defend, let me go ahead and drone off of here, wait an entire production cycle, and then start making a lot of units, and that's what happened. We can see that Rhett went directly up to 70 drones after that entire push, that fake push, and then he's at maximum efficiency. He was double his opponent's income. We can see that his opponent right now, he's just taking over the game, destroying his opponent. And I'm gonna go back a little bit. You're gonna see there wasn't many fights. Actually, there were no fights at all. If anything, let me go ahead and go back right now. There were no fights at all. 10 minutes into the game, I believe. 10 minutes a game. Let's look at the units lost tab. 10 minutes, no fights, and we already see a massive advantage. So this really, really showcases Rhett's style based on taking those economic advantages, based on taking those economic just exploits in your opponent, knowing that he's a standard player. There's no way that Night End in any of this position was able to actually pressure his opponent because he was too defensive, because he played too passive. Rhett just understands the game so much, and with perfect scouting, he was able to see exactly what his opponent was doing. He just had the little subtle things with the Zerglings, with the Overlords, making sure this expansion goes up. Off that, he capitalizes, gets a ton of drones, and now literally he can go mass Zerglings, he can go mass Roaches, he can go mass Infestors, whatever he wants. He is absolutely golden. Let me go ahead and fast forward it a little bit. You're going to see the end coming up pretty soon. You can see that Rhett just bearing down constant pressure, and there's nowhere in this entire thing where Night End can really come back from this. So you can see the Harvester difference is just so scarce for Night End. Night End just has no chance. Now the Corruptors can come in, and this is all but GG. Rhett just looks so well. All right, so one last thing I want to show everybody before we end this breaking down the game is going to be the APM tab. Look at that APM, 175 average. You actually watch him. Rhett is between 125 and 175 average. That means people at home, you don't need an insanely high APM like we see the Koreans, like see Vibe, to play at this level. Rhett looks so good throughout the whole thing. He was able to inject when he needed to every single time, and he just carried that to a victory. All right, everybody, so that's going to do it for this edition of Breaking Down the Game. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You know, it's really, really beautiful that we get to see Rhett and Night End, but sometimes we don't get to go into depth about the analysis, the thought process of each of these players when they're actually playing. And we really see that Rhett looking so beautiful. You know, it's a really, really cool type of build, and he's theoretically strong. I love his play. This is the kind of stuff why I love Rhett, and you guys should too. Not saying Night End is by any means a bad player, but Rhett was definitely the player that was able to take advantage of him. That being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please, if you have a match that you really want to see, send it to breakdown@nasl.tv. That's where we'll just compile them and see what exactly you guys want to see next time around. Anyway, that's going to do it. I am Andre Great Torpenkshua signing out. Take it easy, guys.